check. Hold up, hold up, hold up. Mic check. Let's see how this is working. All right, let me see. It's working. Okay, all right, I guess we can hear me. All right, let me see. It's working. Okay, all right, I guess we can. All right, peace, and blessings, everybody. Hakiyami here, the Success Scholar. I'm going to be brief here this morning. Got a pretty busy day, but I wanted to, share just my opinions. I'm going to do a more in-depth analysis, but I just watched an interview with Keidi Awadu and Dr. Umar Johnson, and generally speaking, both have some good insights, of course, some very good analysis, uh, and I appreciate much of the out of the box thinking, of course, and I generally gained some good, insightful information from both of them. I have, shall I say, over the years, but okay, pardon self, but so everything is good. But I wanted to discuss there was some interesting uh, back and forth that I thought that sometimes what happens when you have brilliant people or persons that have read a lot of books and have a lot of research in their background. Sometimes individuals can have a sort of a ego problem because somebody may have missed a particular fact or they some information may not be up to date or whatever. So if there was an instance, I'm sorry, where Keidi Awadu alluded that Umar did not have his numbers intact and perhaps wanting to assist Dr. Umar, and so there was this back and forth. But ultimately, I think that both, of course, need to move from theory to more practical, tangible operations. For instance, being engaged with the people versus just speaking and talking. For instance, I never see individuals out within the community just really truly engaging. Now, I do understand that scholars need time to speak. I'm attempting to understand and appreciate that self time to develop, but we need to have like some direct mentors that are actually watching us on a more regular basis who are really uh, grabbing some of the intel that we have, some of the experiences that we actually have. So that is part and parcel of what I wanted to mention. But I also wanted to mention that Keedy, unfortunately, has never attempted to interview Dr. Claude Anderson. And when individuals mention the work of Dr. Claude Anderson, it's like Keidi Awadu has, for some time, sort of pushed their opinions to the side. He's done it on Carl Nelson's show and several times, and so I'm just thinking like so both of them are claiming or theorizing that they are Pan Africanists, and I just wonder like okay, well, for instance, when are you as a 10, 15, 20, 30 year Pan Africanist going to actually totally repatriate, right? I mean, like ultimately, I mean, if we are calculating and understanding the global economic world, as many of us have a decent grasp on, as I have studied many different scholars over the years and attempted to, even what some of the things that Keidi said. I believe, first and foremost, even with Umar, having that level of capital, that school should have been built in Africa, and you can create an industry around it where the children certainly would appreciate it. Actually, there was a conversation, for instance, about immigrant parents or immigrant students, shall I say, in America. And Keedy alluded that there was much of the challenges were certainly many of the African American males, the black males here in America, were experiencing educational challenges in comparative to other children from other places. Well, from what I and I certainly, it was a good conversation to have. For instance, why are children progressing that are black here? Many people have that question. Why are, for instance, Nigerians or Ghana, people from Ghana, or why are they progressing versus black children in America? Now, Umar alluded that the expectations of the teacher is the cause of the failure of the black children. So, uh, and I hear that, and I do recognize that definitely there are many cases where where these teachers, for instance, black American children, and for any Coon, COON, FBA or ADOS people come on and see my name and tell me to shut up or something because I must be a black immigrant. So I'm from Baltimore. Let me just put that out there for, because yes, some of them have come in a very disrespectful manner, and and one even said I sound like a black immigrant, and I don't know if these are trolls, but it's just very disrespectful. So you'll lose a lot more respect from a lot of people by making these claims, particularly some of the more scholastic and more revolutionary, more men of our community, the more masculine men, shall I say, because, for instance, many of those who have adopted various non-European names are the true men in our community. They have claimed who they are. They have defined who they are in comparative to uh, historic oppressors, shall I say, in a historical context. So there's nothing cowardly about many individuals, most. So they are deserving of some level of respect there. So, but going back to this education phenomenon, or I think ultimately we black people in America have a culture of ignorance, where our leaders are dysfunctional. Many of the black leaders and who these children are listening to are the rappers and entertainers, right? And I can't say if that's the same in other countries in Africa, but when children, for instance, here are tied into gadgets and television, and they are not able, for instance, and I studied this in many different groups, many different books where they were talking, for instance, about Asian children and other ethnic groups children. Many of them, they're spending 6 7 hours after they get out of school. They are still studying, they still learning, while most, for instance, even black households, both parents are working, the children are practically raising themselves, so they are, the television is like the parent, this the babysitter, if you will. And so And I think that we have to dissect that in the context of Black businesses, for instance, where parents are not able to be totally at home to educate their children because they are at particular jobs, for instance, that do not necessarily provide for them that level of flexibility to be at home, to be present in the house. So this is some community building, nation building uh, strategies and consciousness that is sort of just kind of coming out of things that I absolutely definitively know for a fact. But so although Umar says the teachers, I say that education, and I'm sure he certainly would agree. Education first begins at home. There have been many cases, and I was connected to Independent African Center School in the DC area, and I was able to listen and learn throughout that community and learn uh, the challenges. For instance, I'll just give this one example. One thing I learned is that many of the children that are in, for instance, this Independent African Center School, they actually, they the children, that's like the last step for them. That's the last place that they actually send their children to, So not the first, not that they are jumping over, what is it? What is these schools? The Bryn Mawr School or these other Montessori schools or these Catholic schools. That's many of the Black unconscious Black professional minds to send their children to some of these schools first. Or, for instance, they want more so a Christian school or now even a particular Islamic school. So, you just got to understand, for instance, when you're talking about that, you got to understand the context of our people and what they feel or experience in their daily life. So I'm not going to talk much, but I'm going to get ready to get out and uh, and continue to got some great things coming up here and sorry, great things coming up here in the next couple days, of course. But I definitely would encourage you all to definitely subscribe to my YouTube, Raising Consciousness and Capital, of course, and my Facebook group. If you can't find me here or there on my Facebook page, but definitely join my group, Raising Consciousness and Capital page. Got some good stuff on there. So I continue to post various books and other intelligent information from much of the scholastic scholars that I've been studying for some years. So shout out to ASCAC, shout out to the Association of Black Psychologists as well. Many of my great friends and colleagues who continue to do the conscious raising work that needs to be done. So that's all I have. Hope everybody enjoyed this discussion. I think that's all I want to deal with. Oh, and yes, Dr. Claud Anderson, of course, get his books. You can get them from me. Success Scholar, HAKI.com. Definitely, these are books that you should have, you should get. And I was able to speak at his first annual Harvest Festival a few years ago. It was quite an amazing experience. I spoke just before Dr. Claud Anderson, so it was quite an honor. So a lot of great things are coming up here. Check out Carl Nelson's show on Fridays. Definitely check it out. Listen in, talking about Tanzania, South Africa. And yes, you are welcome to join us and continue to build. Thank you very much. Holla at the Success Scholar. Let me end this broadcast first here.